Kaivalya Kleem Kaivalya Kleem Kaivalya Kleem Kaivalya Kleem Kaivalya Kleem Kaivalya Kleem Kaivalya
Namaste and welcome to Kaivalya Yoga Gurukulam or KYG. Thank you for joining this class. We shall continue learning the mudras that we had started in the last class, a few more mudras that we have to cover in this class. As you would have noticed in the last class, this is a very mindful, reverential learning because we are using these as means to go home, to go within, to make this inward journey. And we use the body, the psychic centers, the mind, the breath, all of this to help us go within. And therefore the learning is done with reverence and respect. Allow me to share too, with that same reverence, humility and respect, this wisdom that has been passed down to us by the yogis and the sages. The secret, the energy within these are all revealed to you only through practice. And of course, divine grace. Let us begin this mindful learning with 3 Oms. Let us take our minds to the source of all this, the Sri Kalahasti temple in South India, where the concept of Shiva is dedicated to the air element. In the last class, we had studied 4 or 5 mudras. What were they? A quick review of them before we continue. If this is a video that you're just bumping into, a class that you're just bumping into, you're most welcome to stay. But the last 2 classes, we have discussed the basics of mudras. All of this learning is part of the air element. that we are studying currently. In the last class, we said we begin our meditation with Anjali Mudra, with fingers pointed slightly out at a 45-degree angle, like so. And we use this as a starting point for prayer that we offer. We invoke the Ganesha energy in the Mooladhara, become aware of the process where it begins, the base of the spine. And then we bring our hands down to Chin Mudra or the Jnana Mudra. Either way is fine. We maintain the Chin Mudra for a few seconds, perhaps for a minute or two, allowing that prayer to Ganesha digest. We feel the Mooladhara, apply the Moola Bandha, gently apply the Uddiyana Bandha, lower our neck gently for Jalandhara Bandha. Slowly prepare ourselves, holding the Chin Mudra, so that the energy of the air slowly goes within and generates a circulation of prana. And then we offer salutations to the Guru. We perform the Mrigi Mudra in front of the chest and then raise it and place it on top of the head. And we offer our salutations to our divine Guru, who opens the doors to the divine wisdom. He or she, we visualize the lotus feet on our head, if you will. We imagine ourselves to be the dust at the feet, timid as a deer, ready to be taught, to be fed, to be pampered by divine energy. And then we gently bring our palms down to Bhairava or Bhairavi Mudra. Before we do this, we check the nostrils. Which one is active? Right now, in this class, as I speak to you, my right is active. So today it's Bhairava. My right side is Bhairava. So the right palm sits on top of the left palm, it becomes Bhairava Mudra. When the left palm is on top right, it becomes Bhairavi. Today I shall maintain the Bhairava Mudra. Bhairava and the thumbs touching each other gently, like so. And then I gently look down and gaze at my empty palms. Gaze at the emptiness in the palms. Become aware of the empty space between my eyes and the palms. Become aware of the empty space around me. Become aware of the empty space around my home. And thus, beginning to embrace the space that occupies so much of this universe. There is very little matter. More than 95 or 97% is empty space. They call it dark matter for a reason. Allow the mind to become empty, and so staring at your palm becomes Rikta Mati. Rikta Mati, the Mati is Rikta. Mati means mind, mind becomes empty. So we had stopped in this space. Let's proceed further. Now, Rikta Mati, again, can be held as long as you want. But remember, you're not going into a dreamlike state, or there's no visualization here. There is just, you enter into space. You become aware of this space, then the space around you, space around your home, space around the sky as space, and the space around the planet, the space around all the planets. And thus you go on and on and on and realize that the known matter is a very tiny fragment. And in that tiny fragment, somewhere in that tiny fragment is a really, really tiny you. And therefore, the you and the mind and all of this literally disappears into practically being nothing. That's the idea. So you feel it. You feel that emptiness much more. And that feeling of emptiness, the awareness of that emptiness and the space renders the mind quiet. This is an important stage. So take your time to be in that stage. Sometimes you could simply stay there, enjoy it, and come out of it. The next step from here is now we begin to move the prana that is gently activated because of Udhyana, and because we are aware of the two extremes, the Sahasrara by offering it to the Guru, and before that activating the Mooladhara by offering our mental salutations to Ganesha. So Ganesha in the Mooladhara, Guru in the Sahasrara, we have created the two channels. Now we begin to move the prana upwards. For that we perform a mudra that is always done along with Lagu Udhyana. So I will show you the Hridaya Mudra, but that is incomplete without the Udhyana, because Udhyana begins to operate the prana, and the prana begins to move to the chest. And in the chest region we perform this mudra. It is called the Hridaya Mudra, the heart mudra. The heart mudra is to become aware of the prana in the region of the chest. First, let's learn how this mudra is done. We all did the Mrigi mudra. This was pretty simple. Now watch what I do with my forefinger. I just roll it first into the base of my thumb, keeping my thumb free. And then I join just like the Mrigi mudra. So instead of this forefinger being up, it gets rolled in. It gets rolled in to the base, right? So watch, I roll this into the base of my thumb, join the forefinger, and I roll the forefinger down to the base of the thumb, middle finger and ring finger to the thumb, like so. Now, I place it here in the region of the sternum, right in the center. Watch my little fingers, they join, point downwards, because they are earth element, they point down. Keeping the earth away because that's the heaviest in the element. We begin to move the prana, pull the electricity and the water up, water into vapor, and the fire up into the region of the chest. So you do this gently looking down at your heart, because your Jalandhara Bandha is already forming and formed, and that becomes an important component as we proceed. So this becomes the Hridaya Mudra. All you do here is apply the Jalandhara Bandha. Then begin to breathe through the chest. If you're practicing yogasanas, in the classes that I teach, you will notice that we do this every time. So this, if you're practicing that kind of yogasanas, the way I teach, the traditional one, then you will find this an easy one, because now you'll begin to breathe in and out only through the chest. Your stomach is nice and taut and tight, pulled in. Shoulders are relaxed. Hridaya Mudra is in place. You activate the prana by breathing in and out through the chest. Begin also to activate the Ujjayi breath. So you hear the breath as you breathe in and out. Like so. I'm making it very loud so you can hear it into the microphone. You don't have to be so loud, but the suction is done with the throat. So you do this. Fill your lungs with breath. Breathe out fully, pulling your stomach in. Expand the chest. You breathe in and out. It's a very beautiful trance-like meditative state that you're slowly getting into. Even though I'm aware that there's a camera in front of me, when I really start doing this, it kind of draws me in. The sound of the breath is so powerful. And this mudra, because your hands are up here, you can't really drift into any dream-like state unless your hands are down. It's not a very relaxed state, but at least you can hold for a couple of minutes. Ideally, you want to do that for a couple of minutes. You hold this mudra and initiate the prana at the chest. You will notice your chest heaving in and out, breathing nicely, expanding on the sides, on the front, and perhaps in the back as well. And the stomach is tight. Okay? So this is Hridaya Mudra because it opens up the heart chakra. This heart chakra here is not necessarily anything to do with feelings and all of that, but this is essentially to activate the prana. The Vayu element is in the lungs here, right? So we are truly bringing the prana, making it active, so that the prana doesn't slip down and meet with apana down here, but prana stays up. Once we begin to activate the prana, the next step is to activate the udana. So what do? Once you finish the Hridi or Hridaya Mudra, it's also called Hridi Mudra, Hridaya Mudra. Once you finish the Hridaya Mudra, you can bring your hands down like so. Now you have established the Uddiyana Bandha nicely, which is very important in this. And the breathing continues here. Once you do this, the next mudra that you do is now with the prana activated. You can't hold this prana for very long without the Kechari mudra. So the Uddiyana Bandha here, the Jalandhara Bandha here, and the Kechari mudra is what is going to help keep the prana up because it activates what is called the Udana Vayu. Udana Vayu is in the region of the throat chakra. Udana Vayu is that beautiful Vayu is usually air or breath, but it's a term applied to Udana. You can't really see it or feel it. But that Vayu is the nature of Udana is to connect you to other dimensions. That Udana has to be active for us to slip into meditation. The Udana comes active, for example, when you have vivid dreams, vivid, clear dreams, not just regular or dreams that you don't remember when you get up, right? But there are certain dreams that become so vivid, so as if it was so real. You get up and like you scratch your head and say, was it really my dream or did it really happen? Those kind of vivid dreams are a manner of astral travel. It's a different dimension we enter and see a reflection of what we hold in our unconscious in that dimension. Okay? So that vividity, that ability to be in that dimension, in that world, is because of Udana Vayu. When you get darshan of your guru or when you get a sense of extrasensory perception in your dream, as if you saw a bright light or something very beautiful touched you and there was exhilaration, there was wonderment and all of that, that is Udana Vayu. Sometimes even extreme fear experienced in the dream in the form of nightmares is uncontrolled Udana Vayu. So that's why in meditation we learn Ujjayi and we are going to learn Kechari Mudra, which helps us to control the Udana Vayu. So we eliminate all nightmares and all that kind of stuff. And all that gets eliminated automatically because Udana Vayu gets controlled and is gently taking you to the other realms very beautifully. It activates beautiful dreams, your ability to connect to higher beings, for the ability and open your gates for higher beings to connect to you. I know we enter sometimes into these areas which I cannot explain to you scientifically. I won't attempt to explain to you scientifically because science is way behind when it comes to matters of spirit and the mind. Let us stick to this. I'm just sharing this knowledge with you. If you say, oh, all this is very difficult to believe, then practice and see for yourself how your meditation jumps up, leaps and bounds because of this. What is Kechari Mudra? Kechari Mudra is as simple as rolling your tongue backwards, like so, tongue out and roll backwards. So the tip of the tongue touches the roof of the mouth. And almost trying to go backwards like this, as if it's trying to go up through the nostrils, up into the third eye region. That's what you want. It's like a snake. It wants to go up like this, go back here and go up, right? That's what the tongue wants to do. So you take it back and tickle the roof of the mouth. The tongue is very difficult to keep it still, so keep it massaging the roof of the mouth, gently, taking it back. It's back like this, just gently let it massage the roof of the mouth. Okay? Ujjayi breath. Jalandhara Bandha. Watch my Jalandhara Bandha. I don't know if you can get a side angle for this. My neck is not fully down. If it happens later on as you meditate for 30, 40 minutes, if it starts coming down, that's okay, but don't consciously put it all the way down. You might find sometimes it's suffocating, you can't breathe, and so on. Just gentle down is more than enough. Obviously, you don't want to wear a tight collared shirt or with a tie and all of that. Hopefully, you won't be doing that. But you want it very, very, very loose. So, just a gentle Lagu version of Jalandhara. Lagu is simply a slight bend in the neck. Uddiyana Bandha in place. Khechari Mudra. Your hand could be in Chin Mudra. Your hand could be in Jnana Mudra. Your hand could simply be in the Bhairava Mudra. As you do this. Because you have initiated prana here, you do the Khechari Mudra and keep focusing on the prana here. Okay? This is Khechari Mudra. And then comes the next mudra, which is a very important mudra. And that mudra again is never practiced on its own because of its ineffectiveness. It is practiced always with Jalandhara Bandha, Khechari Mudra, and after Hridaya Mudra. After taking the prana up here, you perform the Jalandhara Bandha, the Khechari Mudra, and then come to this mudra. And this mudra is called Shambhavi. Shambhavi Mudra. Shambhavi Mudra. Khechari Mudra activates the Udana Vayu. But what do you do just activating the Udana Vayu? You want the Udana Vayu, you want to guide the Udana Vayu, right? Mudras give the energy, they give the stamp of approval. Yes, you can go ahead. So Khechari Mudra gives the Udana Vayu approval to go ahead. Where? Where will Udana Vayu go? It has to go to the third eye. Right? So Shambhavi Mudra is done always along with Khechari Mudra. And Jalandhara Bandha makes it complete. The Bandha is different from Mudra, but you have to sometimes combine them, correct? So Khechari Mudra, Jalandhara Bandha, and Shambhavi Mudra. So let us learn Shambhavi Mudra. I know these all sound too much one by one, but actually when you know them, you will do them almost simultaneously. Hridaya Mudra, Jalandhara Mudra, Khechari Mudra, activating the prana. And when you feel the prana is activated, you go into Shambhavi Mudra. It's like that. So it's all a very smooth flow, one into the other. Okay? But now we have slowed it down, learning it one by one. Before we go to Shambhavi Mudra, we did the Hridaya Mudra, correct? Activated the prana here. Then came up here, performed the Jalandhara Bandha, Khechari Mudra. All the while the Ujjayi breath is already active. Then we do the Shambhavi. Shambhavi Mudra is activating the third eye. In other words, what do you mean by activating third eye or activating the Agnya Chakra? You're taking Udana Vayu towards the Agnya Chakra. You're just opening the door for Udana Vayu to go there. Activating Agnya Chakra, opening Agnya Chakra, all that is only due to divine grace. I really know of any other way of explaining that. There is no technique to open third eye. You just let the Udana Vayu go and then leave it to the divine. The idea of divine grace, the idea of grace from the yogis who reside in higher dimensions is very real for me, and that's the only way I can teach you. Okay? So don't worry about opening third eye, activating third eye, what will happen if my pineal gland opens or third eye opens, however you want to. Leave all that for grace. Let us do our homework. Continue doing our homework. Okay? What is our homework? Shambhavi. And how is Shambhavi done now? Shambhavi is where you take your eyes and you focus towards the center. You take the eyes and focus towards the center. Now, before I do this, this has to be learned cautiously. If you have weak eyes, if you have very thick glasses, you have to learn this very slowly. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but you should learn it very slowly. Maybe do it only for 5 seconds initially, 10 seconds initially. There is an easier version for this. If you cannot take it towards the center of the eyebrows, stare at the tip of the nose. This is a simpler version of Shambhavi Mudra. The mind's attention, because of the tongue tickling the roof of the mouth, that roof of the mouth is connected straight up to a place that is half an inch behind this place. Half an inch or an inch behind this. You're not thinking of the front of the skin here. This is nothing. It's about an inch behind. So, when the tongue tickles the roof of the mouth, draw a straight line up. Okay? It is there. So the eye is actually trying to look behind the front here. So it's about an inch behind. So how is it done here? Watch me gently, and please, if you're trying along, please be very careful and gently try. You might get a headache or it might hurt you. Just gently rub the temples and relax the eyes. Just rotate the eyes clockwise and counterclockwise. Okay? Before and after, if you feel. Not during meditation as you're getting in, don't do eye exercises. Just before the whole part. Now you know if you're trying Shambhavi, then do eye exercises. Rotate them clockwise, right? Like so. And this is clockwise. And 3 times, 5 times, and then counterclockwise. Just loose and relax up and down, sideways, just to ease the eyes, correct? Now, once it's a kind of a warm-up for the eyes, because you are using eye muscles. You have to be careful about this. Okay, this is why they talk about initiation and being in front of a guru and teaching, because it makes sense. Nothing more than that for initiation. If you use common sense, you can practice this yourself. So, with the Jalandhara Bandha, you gently take your eyes and stare in between the eyebrows, like so. The eyes seem to be open, but gently with practice, the eyelids can close and you can still maintain the look, but your eyelids cannot be fully closed. Some people do prefer that, and that's up to you, I guess. Mine stays kind of half closed. It very rarely closes fully. Khechari Mudra is very important here, because Khechari Mudra triggers the third eye. Very important to hold the Lagu Uddiyana in place, the chest breathing in place. By this time, I come down usually to Jnana Mudra, because this begins to take me deep inside. So I sit straight, perform the Shambhavi. Trying to focus on a place that is 1 inch behind the front of my skin here, inside. And I'm hoping to trigger something inside. I'm hoping to trigger the third eye. As if you're trying to touch it with the tip of your eyes, if you know what I mean. Now, We don't have control over our internal processes to a large extent. But you know, you and I do something every day as adults, except if you're a child below 5, I guess you won't understand what I'm talking about. But then, let's talk about passing urine, for example. Now, we have learned the technique that we can either hold it, or when we want to pass urine, you can go and sit and trigger that process from inside, correct? Most of the time, we go and pass urine just because our bladders are full and we have to go. But let's say you have to go to the hospital and they say, okay, we want your urine for a urine test. You may not feel like doing, but in order to give a little bit of urine test, what you can do, you can still go and produce urine from the body. How? You're able to, and we have learned to trigger that. Trigger something, then the urine starts flowing automatically, correct? We can relate to that. So I want to draw that analogy because that is what we are learning to master here. And then grace takes over. And once you are able to trigger that, that opens up a whole different reality to us. We get transported literally into a completely different dimension. Then you are completely lost. You don't have control in the sense of you are so completely caught up in that beautiful dimension. And then of course, because of our inability to hold these bandhas, when these bandhas get released, because we're so caught up in that dimension, eventually everything comes back down. In order to delay that, in order to maintain the beauty of that experience, we do Jalandhara Bandha. Okay, I'll come to that in a bit. So, Shambhavi Mudra, we are focusing on a spot that is 1 inch behind the front, where the third eye, the psychic center of the third eye, the Agnya Chakra is located. You can, for the sake of understand that as a pineal gland, but third eye is not a gland. None of these chakras are glands. Glands, again, like different centers, different parts of the body, can be used as references for you to understand the location of that psychic center, just as a reference point. But it is not that. You can't restrict a chakra to a gland. It's not a physical organ at all. It's nothing to do with the physical body. So, try this if you will, along with me. Roll your tongue back. You can either focus on the tip of your nose or between the eyebrows, but either way, let your attention be fixed here. You can still focus your eyes on the tip of the nose, but your focus can be to the root of the nose. The root of the nose is where that third eye is, 1 inch behind. Or like so. Breathe in and out through the Ujjayi breath. Be aware of where you're trying to see. Be mindful. Gently relax the eyes. Slowly open your eyes. If your eyes hurt, just keep them closed gently. You can even cup your eyes like so, and then simply rotate your eyes so that the light in the room doesn't disturb you. And then gently press your eyes and open up, in case it's too stressful for you. Do you have to do Shambhavi Mudra? You don't have to. None of these are have to. I'm just teaching you how this method of where the yogis talk of raising the prana, how is that method done? How are these mudras in combination with bandhas help in really achieving that? Then they keep the attention focused here for as long as they can. Okay? All right, I'm just being told that there is some fluctuation in the stream. So if we get cut off, don't get stressed. I'll continue recording it locally, and then we'll upload it as a separate video up for your perusal. Okay. So now the Shambhavi Mudra is like so. Now that we did Shambhavi Mudra, now what? People will say, now what? So as you maintain the Shambhavi Mudra, then comes an even more important mudra that is called the Shanmukhi Mudra. Again, now I know in one class we just put one mudra after the other. You're like, oh gosh, what is this? One after the other. But this is how it is. Shanmukhi Mudra. So assuming that you are seated like so, Kechari Mudra is in place, the Hriday Mudra is already done, right? You already performed the Hridaya Mudra, you pull the prana up here, your Kechari Mudra is in place, Shambhavi Mudra is in place. Once you feel your eyes are centered, focused, and you're set, it would take a minute or two of that as well. When you do that, then we come to the Shanmukhi Mudra. Then we want to go even more within. We want to listen to the sound of the breath with no distractions. So the first thing we do is we take our thumbs and close the ears. We close the ears, okay? Completely press the ears and close. Don't close your ears now, but you won't be able to hear me, and I'll hear too much of myself. So I'm just going to demonstrate. Close the ears. Then you take the forefingers and gently place over your eyes, so you close the eyes. Again, don't close your eyes, you can't see what I'm doing. Right? Then you gently keep the middle fingers, two middle fingers, bent gently over your nostrils, because you're going to breathe through one nostril at a time now. Okay? The ring finger and the little finger are gently placed over your lips, like so. So this is Shanmukhi, blocking off all information from the outside. How do I breathe? Now I breathe in through the right, out from the left. Left in, right out, right in, left out. So I keep breathing alternate nostril, closing one each with my middle finger, like so. My fingers are gently placed over my eyeball, so it blocks all the light. I don't have to press it like this, it will be very hurtful. But as I am doing the Shambhavi Mudra, then all it needs a very gentle placing like this. So your fingers also point towards the center. So it helps in practicing the third eye, Shambhavi Mudra. So there's an element of fingers going like this towards the third eye, like this. You might see in pictures like this, I started like this just to show you for clarity purpose. But when you're doing Shambhavi Mudra, when you want to cover the light, it goes like this. Okay? Now, Shanmukhi Mudra, when you close the ears, the eyelids gently to block off all lights, so you see only darkness. Then these two fingers are just merely placed over your lips, just as a body language to send the mind a message, because the tongue is already rolled back in Kechari Mudra. So this is simply a body language and a message that you send to your brain that even your mouth is not going to open to eat or do anything. The tongue is turned inward to experience inward experiences, not to taste anything outside. So the tongue is rolled back. And your middle finger is gently, it's rolled, it's bent slightly, and it's gently allowing you to breathe in and out. Correct? All the others are in place. Okay? This cannot be held very long. Why? Because your palms are up. And if you hold it for about 2 or 3 minutes, your shoulders will feel the strain. And then you'll want to end. So Shanmukhi alone is not held very long. So assuming that you can hold it for 3, perhaps 4 minutes, a few rounds of Anuloma Viloma Pranayama is more than enough by this time, because it is just to shut off the senses. You begin to listen to the breath, especially when you close your ears and you do the Ujjayi breath. It becomes one loud sound like a hissing of a snake or the wind coming in and out. Beautiful, hollow, the hollowness and the emptiness in your the tube, the throat is amazing. You become absorbed in that inner space, if you will. Then you bring your hands down and you place it in what is called the yoni. Now that you have established, what is the purpose now? It is, I've blocked all my senses, I've drawn my senses inward. So this is the beginning stage of pratyahara. Pratyahara is the 8 steps of Patanjali. So this mudra, Shanmukhi mudra, helps you in pratyahara. Pratyahara is like a tortoise, withdraws all the 4, whatever you call his limbs. He withdraws it under his shell. You withdraw all the senses within. You block the ears, the eyes, and so on, right? That is a preparation for pratyahara. Once you go in and listening to your breath, Shambhavi is still in place. By this time, if your Shambhavi is tired, you bring it here to the tip of the nose. That's fine. And then you'll say, okay, let me try again, Shambhavi. This will happen naturally, shifting between the tip of the nose and the third eye. This shifting up and down is natural. Don't force yourself to focus here all the time. It cannot happen right away. It took me more than 10 years to stay focused here because the eyes would hurt. Okay, so maybe some of you might learn it longer. I'm just giving you my experience. It took me a long time and I needed patience. And even now, after a while, after about, I don't know when, my eyes will shift back here. And then again, when I become slightly conscious, I'll move it up here. And then it stays there for a long, long time. And then whenever it just, so that's something you can't control, because once you're able to trigger the third eye, then it really doesn't matter, mudras, nothing matters, because your body shifts into another dimension. You have no control literally over your body. But let that happen. Let that happen naturally. Okay? I don't want to give too much information which sometimes might be out of context. Nevertheless, maintain the Shambhavi mudra here or the Nasika Drishti. And then what happens after Shanmukhi, you come down and you connect to the very source of the universe, the Yoni Mudra. Yoni Mudra. Yoni Mudra is simply the tips of your forefingers and your thumbs. And the rest of the fingers are placed like so. There are 2 versions of this. See which one works for you. This is one version which you place down. Again, just like where you place the Bhairavi or Bhairava Mudra, you point this finger down, Mother Earth. The mother is the source, so Mother Earth. Okay? By this time, Jalandhara Bandha, Udyana Bandha, all of that is in place. Shambhavi Mudra is in place. You connect Yoni. This is one version of Yoni. Watch my fingers here. I had done this, right? It was like this. I did this. This is a Yoni Mudra. Even normally, when you sit for a bhajan or you just want to sit for meditation, this is a great way to simply get into a meditative state. This is a wonderful mudra to connect you to the source of the universe. It reminds you of the womb, right? Another version is you could interlock your fingers. Instead of placing them like this, this is how I practice. This is how I like it. I like it interlocked because it doesn't go anywhere. I like it firm, placed together, and the yoni is done. This thumb can be just relaxed like this. It just has to be in touch, that's all. Okay? For me, the thumbs represent, the way I understand this is thumbs represent the Shiva aspect, the 4 fingers represents the Devi aspect. And together it becomes the yoni. And then I stay in meditation. I become completely absorbed in the experience of stillness that ensues as a result of gradually preparing my body, mind, breath, everything into that place. And then I just stay in that space, simply counting my breath, focusing on the third eye, becoming aware of an inner world. The inner world begins with the breath. You become aware of the breath going in and out. That is what we triggered with Shambhavi, with Shanmukhi Mudra. Once that is done, you just maintain that awareness of the breath going in, going out, going in, going out. You're staring, I say staring, but gazing at the third eye chakra, maintaining the Yoni Mudra. Yoni Mudra can translate itself into Jnana Mudra, or it can remain Yoni Mudra. All of this is allow these things to happen naturally. Some days you'll just like to be like this in Yoni Mudra. Some days after Shanmukhi, you will do the Yoni Mudra, and then you will feel like it'll be natural. Your body will just say, I want to do Jnana Mudra. Just go into Jnana Mudra and continue. If your meditation sessions go long, sometimes, some days it can go longer. If you have time and you want to meditate longer, let's say more than 45 minutes or an hour or even longer, then every half an hour or so you may want to shift, and then you come back to Yoni Mudra. It will happen naturally because your body will move slightly just to ease the flow of blood, maybe gentle like this, let's say after 45 minutes, and you want to continue. By then, if the mudra changes, go ahead, change it from Yoni Mudra to Jnana Mudra, but continue. Try and maintain the Shambhavi, either here or here, with the Kechari. The tongue is rolled back, Jalandhara Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, breathing in and out. These set of mudras and the combination with bandhas really beautifully prepare you for that, prepares the stage, if you will, for you to enter this dimension that we call the mind. We have taken mind for granted, so let's not even go there. Just like we took the breath for granted, or have taken the breath for granted. But here what happens is, I first lock the body and all of that, get into pose. Then I focus on the breath and move the breath along with these bandhas. My full focus is on the breath now. Ujjayi, everything. Then with the Shambhavi Mudra and the Shanmukhi Mudra, the breath is slowly transforming itself. As I enter the more and more aware of the breath, then I enter into what is inside the breath, the subtlety of the mind. That's where you begin to become aware of a potential within you that is not limited by the senses. Let's call it mind for now, because that mind has many factions. It will open up into intuition, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. Within those koshas, there are so many aspects of mind. That is all the chittas and everything is there. That conscious mind, unconscious mind, whatever the West calls it today or the modern education calls it, they're all inside that. Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha and Anandamaya Kosha. Mind, and there is intuition, there is Ananda, and in that lies a whole, many dimensions of experiences. This is that journey into the koshas, into yourself, going to your source, going to your home. All right? So the breath is inside the body. Pranamaya kosha, in other words, the kosha, the sheath or the vehicle or the cover that has the breath, is inside the Annamaya kosha. Annamaya is this sheath, the body that is sustained by food. Anna is food. This is the food sheath, Annamaya kosha. Within this is the Pranamaya kosha, which we can understand as the breath. The breath is the physical vehicle for the Pranamaya to go in and out and all the pranas to move. Nadis, all of this comes under the Pranamaya kosha. Within the pranamaya kosha is the manomaya kosha, more subtler, and therefore the prana moves in and out and all the vayus exchange. That's when the mind begins to go in and out. Within that manomaya kosha, now you already gone outside this annamaya kosha, right? So within the manomaya kosha, where is the manomaya kosha now? Where is the mind sheath? Is it in or out? Both. The mind is in and out. So inside that subtle mind sheath lies Vijnanamaya Kosha, the sheath of intuition, an ability to reach out into other dimensions. And inside that, now it has got even further than the mind. Because mind is again, could be limited by imagination, visualization and so on, but intuition is far beyond that, right? We all have experienced that at some level. Almost as an instant you get something, you know it. How does that happen? It's intuition. When we develop it, it becomes more and more real to us. So that intuition, where does it come from? Where does it go? It's everywhere. So we have already become omnipresent at the Vijnanamaya stage, almost. Then Anandamaya Kosha, the state of bliss, is inside that. That means it's even more subtle, even more omnipresent. And inside that is the self. So where is the self? The self is everywhere. It is not inside here. And that self that is everywhere is the source of all the other koshas. So this Annamaya Kosha, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha are all products of that omnipresent self. So your self cannot be different from myself because we all meet in that omnipresent self. We already meet in Manomaya Kosha. That's why when you are depressed and you're with me, or I'm depressed, I'm with you, we share that. If one is of a weaker mind, then he also becomes depressed. She also becomes depressed, right? Or if one is energetic and excited and motivated, then somebody else joins him, then he rubs, his motivation rubs, and then this person also feels motivated. That presence, the mind of this person begins to influence the mind of this person. We all know this, right? How does that happen? Because in Manomaya Kosha, we are connecting already with each other. Distance is of no consequence. If you are tuned into what I'm saying, and if I could only see you, I can't, but if I could only see you, we know that, but I feel it in my Vijnana, in my intuition, I know I'm connecting to you all. And I know you all are connecting to me. That's what motivates me and helps me talk. And almost, I don't have points to speak, and I know, but when I connect to the souls, I say, let me be guided. And that guidance connects me, and that connection, we all experience a commonality, an exchange of energies taking place right now, even if you're seeing this video after 2 weeks, because time and space begin to lose their significance at this point. So already in mind, we become much more. Then Vijnanamaya Kosha, imagine intuition that can predict future. What will happen in the future? You get to know. All of those things happen because then time loses its significance because we travel beyond that. The I, the self begins to expand. And so when we come to the omnipresent self, it is not different in you or me. And that is why the Vedas declared, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. There is only one consciousness. It is perceived as the many. Eko Ham Bahushyam. The Vedas declares, I am the one, I become the many. I am the one, I become the many. The one is still the one, and the one is also the many. And thus it becomes so beautiful. So to experience that in yoga is a roadmap. These practices of bandhas and kriyas and all of this are a roadmap to take you to that experience. So you practice patiently. A certain mudra may be very difficult, like the Shambhavi mudra. Don't do it. There are enough people who without Shambhavi mudra have gone to these places and understood. You have read their books and read their life stories. And so this is not the only way. But if you are here to understand the role of mudras, how to do them, how do they help in meditation, my job is to explain to you. And specifically the way I practice it. This is the path that has helped me and opened to me. I cannot say this is the only path. There are many times I just simply sit for meditation and everything else falls in place very beautifully. There are certain bhajans I listen to, they just transport me almost instantly. I don't need to think of any mudras. Instantly my eyes go here, I get charged, I get focused, automatically my tongue goes back and I'm completely drawn into that. I didn't think of Hridaya Mudra, I didn't think of Ganesha Sloka, I didn't think of... Sometimes it just doesn't have to be. But when we have a discipline of saying after my yoga practice, I want to slip into meditation, then what happens is you do your yoga, you do your simple pranayama. Now your mind is nice and calm because you've done a nice shavasana. You're getting up from shavasana very completely absorbed. You do your pranayama and then you thank for yoga and you begin the process of meditation. Then you do Ganesha Mudra, Anjali Mudra, thank Ganesha. Then contemplate. Then do the Mrigi Mudra, focus on the Guru. Then Bhairava or Bhairavi Mudra, Riktamati Mudra. Then perform the Hridaya Mudra. Then begin the active process of bringing the prana up. If you're doing it after yoga, it will be very easy because you're already done with that, right? Just a few seconds. You bend your head down, Kechari Mudra, Shambhavi Mudra. All of this happens one after the other. Maintain the Shambhavi. And once you know you're fixed in Shambhavi, then perform the Shanmukhi. Listening to the sound of the breath, completely engaged in that sound. Bring your hand down to Yoni. Because I do this after a yoga practice, the yoga practice and the little bit of pranayama has already put me at about 60-70% of that. And this just simply becomes the icing on top of the cake that is already set. So it's very easy to flow into meditation and simply stay absorbed. By this time, what happens? Sometimes it's possible that the neck comes all the way down. Not the spine will be locked in straight, but the neck comes all the way down. Let it be natural. And the breath becomes subtle. It's a blissful state. A blissful state. Quiet, serene, calm. Stay in that as long as it naturally holds you. And then gently come out of it. When you come out of it, you end again with Anjali Mudra. Once again, join your palms, this time in gratitude. And your entire practice, you offer it to the universe. Om Brahma Arpanam Astu, Om Krishna Arpanam Astu, Om Sai Rama Arpanam Astu. You offer it. Because when that practice, you hold on to your practice and say, this is my practice. I need to progress in it. I want this from my practice. And all of that, then there are expectations set out. Then you're naturally setting yourself up for disappointments at the end of 6 months, at the end of 1 year. But when you offer every practice to the universe, saying, this practice is also yours, take it. I'm just grateful that you gave me a chance to even explore this practice. So thank you. Here, take it back. This practice, take it back. And you offer it. You don't take any ownership. You get up from the practice, in fact, grateful that you at least got a chance to practice. Where there are millions and billions of people struggling for food, not even able to think on these lines. That is the mindset of gratitude that paves way for more and more and more richer experiences. Then we set ourselves to be recipients of divine grace. And therefore, my dear sisters and brothers, let us join our palms together. Let us bow our heads down in gratitude. Grateful that we were able to listen, exchange, and share this knowledge learn this knowledge and this wisdom that has the potential to connect us to the divine source within, the Kailasha within, the Vaikuntha within. The energy of Shiva and Vishnu are not imaginations but real, and it is possible to be in that presence. And thus we bow our heads down in gratitude. Om Brahma Arpanam Astu. We offer this class to the universe, this learning to the universe, this practice to the universe. And with this offering, this practice becomes complete. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share this ancient wisdom with you all. I hope you found this useful. Let us end this class with one Om and three Shantis, and may the